Do you believe that nothing in life is random? That this moment, when you clicked on this video, as you listen to these words, is not a coincidence? This is a moment ordained by God Himself, the great Creator, the one who controls everything in heaven and on earth. He led you here for a reason. Maybe you've been going through trials, anxieties, or even fears. Perhaps you feel like you're shrouded in darkness, facing the inexplicable, or maybe you're seeking a way out, a protection from the evil that is lurking. But listen, God never leaves you alone. His word is power, and today, through these sacred words, He will reveal a great secret on how to receive protection from all evil. Open your heart, because what you are about to hear is a revelation that could change your life. These words are not just sounds or sentences. They are a divine sword, a shield granted by God. Stay until the end, because what you are about to discover will bring light to your soul, strength to your spirit, and a promise from the Almighty that He will protect you from all evil. Now, let your mind be still and your soul listen. Let these words touch the deepest part of your being, because God is speaking to you. Say these 4 words, and I will protect you from all evil. The Bible reminds us that words are not just fleeting sounds. They carry the power to create and destroy. In Genesis, chapter 1, it was through the spoken word that God created the heavens and the earth. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. This shows that God's word has the power to bring something from nothing, and His word never returns without accomplishing its purpose. Similarly, when you speak words filled with faith, those words don't just echo in the air. They reach the spiritual realm where the battle between light and darkness wages constantly. Your words, when aligned with God's will, become powerful weapons to push back all evil. You might wonder, what are these 4 words? And why are they so important? They are, "Lord, save me." When you utter these words, you are not just speaking. You are calling out to the most powerful being in the universe. These words are a cry for help that David used in many psalms when he was surrounded by enemies and danger. I say, "Lord, save me, because you are my refuge." Lord, please hear my cry and save me from all my enemies. These cries were not just words. They were a declaration of absolute trust in God's power and protection. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are declaring that you cannot fight this battle alone, but you believe in His strength to push back all evil. Prayer is never a useless act. In Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7, Jesus affirms, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you." When you say, "Lord, save me," you are knocking on heaven's door, where God is always ready to respond. These words also carry the power to heal and deliver. When you pray with these 4 words, you are not only being protected from visible enemies, but also from invisible forces. Remember in Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, St. Paul emphasizes, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness." Believe that when you say these 4 words with unwavering faith, a wall of divine fire will be built around you, protecting you from all the enemy's arrows, from all lies, and from all the evil plans of the devil. The Bible is full of divine promises of God's protection for His children. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are not just saying a prayer, but also activating a powerful promise that God gave from the beginning. In Psalm 91, a chapter known as the Prayer of Protection, God promises those who call on Him, "When he calls to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honor him." This scripture is not just a reassurance, but a covenant where God promises to act powerfully when you place your faith in Him and call upon Him. These words, "Lord, save me," are the key for you to enter into this covenant. In Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, God says through Moses, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." This demonstrates that God's protection is not just an idea, but a powerful action from Him, to push back all danger and enemies. David, called a man after God's own heart, faced countless challenges and enemies in his life. Every time he called upon God with sincerity, God always responded. A notable example is in his battle against Goliath. David did not rely on his own strength, but on the name of the Lord. David said, "You come to me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." David was not afraid, because he knew that his cry to God would protect him and grant him victory. When you say, "Lord, save me," you also enter the battle like David, but with the full protection of God. In Matthew, chapter 14, verse 30, we see a moving story about Peter as he walked on water towards Jesus. When the wind and the waves scared him, and he began to sink, he only had time to cry out, "Lord, save me." And immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and lifted him up. This story is not just a physical miracle, but a testament to the mercy and willingness of God to help. When you cry out in faith like Peter, God will act immediately, pulling you out of all dangerous situations, whether real waves or spiritual storms in your life. Saying, "Lord, save me," is not just an empty phrase. It needs to come from a heart filled with faith and sincerity. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, the Bible teaches, "And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him." Faith is the key to activating divine power in your life. When you speak these 4 words with the fervent belief that God will act, you are opening the door for him to intervene in all your circumstances. The Bible reminds us that the name of the Lord is a strong tower. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10 says, "The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous man runs into it and is safe." When you say, "Lord, save me," you are not just calling on God. You are also using his name as a fortress to protect you from all the forces of darkness. In spiritual battles, the devil often tries to attack our minds and spirits, but a cry to the name of the Lord can destroy all the enemy's plans. In Luke chapter 10, verse 17, the disciples of Jesus say, "Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name." This confirms that the name of the Lord has the power to overcome all the powers of darkness. When you ask him to save you, you are standing under God's banner, where the enemy cannot touch you. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are not only calling for protection, you are also declaring victory in the Lord. The Bible emphasizes many times that the power of God is always greater than any power in this world. In Romans chapter 8, verse 37, St. Paul writes, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." This victory does not come from human strength, but from the power of God, who can do all things impossible. When you face seemingly insurmountable challenges, remember that you are not fighting alone. The words, "Lord, save me," are a declaration that you believe that God will fight for you, and victory is guaranteed in his name. Humility plays a central role in our relationship with God. When you utter, "Lord, save me," you are expressing a humble attitude, acknowledging that you need his help. James chapter 4, verse 6 affirms, "God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble." It is in this humility that God can act most powerfully. He not only saves you from dangers, but also lifts you to a higher position, glorifying his name through what he does in your life. Stories in the Bible clearly illustrate that humility is the gateway to miracles. Look at the story of the Gentile woman in Matthew chapter 15, verses 25 to 28. When she called out to Jesus, "Lord, help me," he tested her faith, but with deep humility, she expressed absolute faith in his power. As a result, Jesus performed a miracle, healing her daughter. When you say, "Lord, save me," from a humble heart, you are inviting a miracle into your life. We cannot avoid difficult moments in life, but what is comforting is that God is always there to be our refuge. When you cry, Lord, save me, you are turning to him as a safe haven, a strong fortress to avoid all evil. Psalm chapter 46, verse 1 affirms, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. This speaks not just of physical protection, but also of peace in the soul, a spiritual safety that only God can give. Imagine the image of a child running to their parents when they are in danger. When you say, Lord, save me, you are also running to your Father in heaven, who will cover you under the wings of his power. Besides physical dangers, there are also spiritual battles that take place in our hearts. The devil tries to sow fear, doubt, and despair. But when you say, Lord, save me, God will intervene to protect your mind from all of these attacks. Philippians chapter 4, verse 7 promises, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This sentence not only protects you from outside enemies, but also brings peace during times you feel weak and lost. Believe that every time you call on the name of the Lord, your mind will be protected by his unshakable power. Saying, Lord, save me, is not just for you. When you share this prayer with a community, you are creating a sacred circle where everyone is calling upon God together. Matthew chapter 18, verse 20 affirms, For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them. The presence of God in the praying community will strengthen the power of the cry, bringing protection not only to individuals but to the group. When you pray with your family, friends, or church, say, Lord, save me, with the faith that he is working through this unity. In the Bible, the name of the Lord is seen as a source of absolute power and strength. When you cry, Lord, save me, you are not just using a phrase, but also activating the limitless power of God's name. God's name carries in it the meaning of salvation, protection, and victory over all evil forces. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10 says, The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. Imagine every time you say the name of the Lord, you are entering a sacred refuge where no enemy can penetrate. The name of the Lord does not only offer individual protection, but also a source of power for you to face the greatest challenges in life. A cry of Lord, save me, is the way for you to open the door that leads to his grace and power, surpassing all human limitations. Our lives are not just a physical journey, but also a constant spiritual battle. St. Paul, in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 said, For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. In this battle, the cry of Lord, save me, becomes a powerful weapon. This is not just a prayer, but a declaration of victory, because you have placed your faith and hope in God, who is greater than all powers. When you feel oppressed by worries, temptations, or fear, remember that every time you say, Lord, save me, you are using the most powerful spiritual weapon. God will stand by your side, fight for you, and protect you from all dark forces. The cry of Lord, save me, doesn't stop at just offering protection. It also has the ability to change your destiny. God doesn't only respond with rescue, but also opens a new path where you find guidance and a higher purpose. Remember the story of Jabez in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10. He cried out to God, Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm. God responded to that prayer and changed his life, offering nonstop blessings. A sincere prayer from the soul always has the power to transform circumstances. When you say, Lord, save me, you not only receive immediate help, but also open a new future, guided by his will. When you cry out, Lord, save me, God does not promise that the storm will immediately stop, but he does promise that you will be at peace during the storm. This peace is not the absence of difficulty, but a calm in the soul. A sense of safety comes from knowing that God is in control. In Matthew, chapter 8, verses 23 through 27, the disciples of Jesus were scared when the storm came while they were in their boat. They cried, "Lord, save us! We are going to drown." Jesus rebuked the storm and brought peace. But before that, he taught them a lesson in faith. When you are facing the storms of life, a cry of, "Lord, save me," will bring peace that surpasses all understanding. This is an assurance that you are never alone, even when the world around you is full of challenges. When you cry, "Lord, save me," you may feel like God's answer is late, but remember that God always acts at the right moment, and his timing is not the same as human timing. In the story of Lazarus and John, chapter 11, Lazarus' sisters called on Jesus to come save their brother, but Jesus came after Lazarus had died. However, God's delay wasn't abandonment, but a part of a greater plan. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, revealing his immense power. When you say, "Lord, save me," patiently wait in faith. God is never late, and he always acts in ways that bring the best to you and honor his name. The cry of "Lord, save me" is not just a simple act of asking for help, but also an affirmation of your personal relationship with God. In this relationship, you are not just a sinful person begging a powerful God, but you are a child running to your Father to seek help, protection, and unconditional love. Romans chapter 8, verse 15 says, "For you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption as sons, by whom we cry, Abba, Father." When you cry out to God with all your heart, you are expressing faith that he is not only the Creator, but a loving Father, always ready to protect you from all evil. This cry is also the way you build a closer bond with God. With each prayer, you will feel that he is listening, responding, and walking with you, no matter how difficult the situation. A constant question in the minds of many is, what if I cry out to God, but don't receive an answer immediately? This is a great challenge in the journey of faith. Look at the story of the Canaanite woman in Matthew, chapter 15, verses 21 through 28. She came and called on Jesus, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." Initially, Jesus was silent, but she didn't give up. In the end, her persistent faith brought a miracle to her daughter. When you feel that your cry, "Lord, save me," is not being answered immediately, remember that God is testing and strengthening your faith. He never abandons you, but he wants you to persevere, trust, and understand that everything happens according to his best plans. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are placing yourself under the divine protection of God, a privilege that nothing in this world can offer. Psalm 91, verse 4 says, "He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and buckler." This protection isn't only for your body, but it covers your soul and your spirit. God protects you from temptations that lead to sin, from the lies of the enemy, and from the doubts that can shake your faith. Imagine every cry as an invisible shield being built around you, protecting you from all evil. You might not see it, but this protection is real and effective because it comes from the one who created you. When you cry, "Lord, save me," God does not just protect you from dangers. He also offers healing. The healing power of God is not limited to the healing of physical illnesses, but also to the healing of the soul. Psalm 147, verse 3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." There are wounds that only God can touch and heal. They are the pain of loss, loneliness, or traumatic memories from the past. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are inviting him into the deepest corners of your soul. Believe that he will not only soothe your pain, but also transform them into testimonies of his power and love. The cry of "Lord, save me" does not always receive an answer in the way you expect. Sometimes, God answers through surprising ways that you could not imagine. Look at the story of Joseph in Genesis. He was sold as a slave, wrongly accused, and imprisoned. But all of these things were part of God's great plan for him to become the savior of his family and the entire nation. When you cry out to God, He can send the answer through a friend, a new opportunity, or even through challenges that help you mature in your faith. Never limit God in your limited understanding, because He always acts in the best way to bring salvation and blessings. Every time you say, "Lord, save me," you are not only expressing the need for help, but also proclaiming the strength of your faith. This is an act of acknowledging that you cannot face life alone, but you trust in the limitless power of God. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6 says, "And without faith it is impossible to please Him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who seek Him." This cry is a declaration that God is present, that He is listening, and that He will act. Remember, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart, just one cry, and God will work to change the situation. One of the amazing things that a cry of "Lord, save me" brings is freedom from sin and the spiritual burdens that we carry. Sin always creates a heavy burden in the heart of a person, causing us to feel distant and separated from God. However, when you cry out to God, He will come and take away those burdens. In Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, Jesus invited those who were tired and carry burdens to come to Him. "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." When you cry, "Lord, save me," you are opening your heart to receive forgiveness and healing from God. God not only frees you from the burden of sin, but also helps you walk in His light, where you find true peace. A great privilege that God gives to those who call on Him is peace in their heart, a peace that cannot be found in this world. When you utter, "Lord, save me," you are opening your heart to receive peace that surpasses all circumstances. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This peace is not a feeling of comfort during favorable times, but the peace that God gives, regardless of the challenge or difficulty you face. When you cry out to Him, God not only protects you from evil, but also protects your soul from confusion, worry, and anxiety. The peace of God is a priceless gift that only He can give you. God not only protects you directly, but also gives you angels to protect you throughout your life. The cry, "Lord, save me," can call on the intervention of angels, messengers of God to help you in times of hardship. Psalm 91, verses 11 and 12 says, "For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." God's angels are sent to protect you in all circumstances, help you avoid dangers and temptations. When you cry, "Lord, save me," you are awakening the divine protection of angels, who will walk beside you and guide you through challenges. They are invisible but powerful friends, ready to help you when you need it. The history of the people of God is full of stories of people who cried out to Him and received salvation. One of the notable stories is that of blind Bartimaeus in Mark chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. Bartimaeus, despite being held back by everyone, cried out to the Lord, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." His cry was not only answered, but also gave him the gift of sight that he had longed for. The cry of, "Lord, save me," is a call for help from God in all circumstances. From tough situations to seemingly insurmountable challenges, God is always ready to answer sincere calls and bring miracles to those who believe in Him. These stories are evidence that nothing is impossible with God. One of the kinds of evil that you can encounter in your life is spiritual attacks. These attacks can come as temptation, doubt, or even bad influences from the forces of darkness. When you cry, "Lord, save me," you are asking God to protect you from these spiritual attacks. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18 describes the divine weapons that God gives you to fight against dark forces. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. This armor includes truth, righteousness, faith, salvation, and the Word of God. These spiritual weapons will protect you from all attacks from the enemy. When you cry out to God, He not only helps you overcome everyday challenges, but also helps you stand strong in the spiritual battle. God will protect you from temptations and the threats of darkness, helping you live a victorious life, free from the bonds of sin. When you cry, "Lord, save me," you are not only asking for help, but also declaring that you are completely dependent on Him. This dependence is not a sign of weakness, but the highest expression of faith. It shows that you believe in God's supreme power more than any other power in the world. Psalm chapter 46, verse 1 says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." This cry is an act of placing all your burdens, all your worries at the feet of God with the certainty that He will intervene in the best way. In a world full of chaos and uncertainty, this action becomes a guiding light. It helps you break free from reliance on temporary solutions and guides you toward a source of eternal salvation. The cry of "Lord, save me" is not just a simple phrase, but a key that opens the door to miracles. Throughout human history, this cry has shaken the heavens and brought the marvelous interventions of God. Remember Elijah on Mount Carmel when he prayed for God to send rain after a long period of drought. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 37 records his prayer. "Answer me, O Lord, answer me, that this people may know that you, O Lord, are God." Immediately afterward, God answered with fire from heaven. When you cry out to God, you are also inviting Him to act in your circumstances. These miracles may not always happen in a spectacular fashion, but they will always bring deep transformation, revealing His love and power. The cry does not only change your circumstances, but transforms you. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are allowing God to work in your heart, changing the way you see the world and yourself. Don't conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. This transformation happens when you place your complete trust in God. He will remove your fears and doubts, replacing them with peace, courage, and hope. You will become a new person, shaped by His love and guidance. When you call on God, you are not alone. You are part of a global community of faith where millions are lifting their prayers to Him every day. Matthew 18:20 emphasizes, "For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them." When your plea is connected with the prayers of others, the power of the faith community will bring even greater results. Imagine yourself as a thread in a vast prayer network. Each prayer, each plea, is not just a personal request, but a contribution to a flow of grace and miracles working throughout the world. The power of your plea will not only protect you from evil, but will also break the chains that darkness tries to impose on you. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are using your words as a weapon against the enemy. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Each plea is a declaration that darkness has no power over you. Jesus, who triumphed over sin and death, will stand by you, freeing you from every bond. There will be times in your life when you feel surrounded by suffering and don't know what to do. That's when the plea, "Lord, save me," becomes a beacon, guiding you through the storms. Look at the story of Peter when he began to sink in the water. Matthew 14, verse 30 records that he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. In those difficult circumstances, when you can't stand up on your own, your plea will invite God into your situation, helping you overcome it and restoring your peace. Life can sometimes leave you feeling exhausted and hopeless, especially when faced with challenges that seem impossible. However, the plea, "Lord, save me," is not just a request. It's a declaration that hope is rekindled in your heart. When you call on God, you are acknowledging that He has the power to change every circumstance and make the seemingly impossible possible. In Isaiah 40, verse 31, the Bible affirms, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." When you call on God in faith, your hope is reborn and your spiritual strength is restored. God gives you spiritual wings to overcome every challenge, lifting you above adversity. Remember that this plea not only changes external circumstances, but also transforms your heart and mind. You will feel a new courage, a divine flame of hope burning inside you, helping you walk in God's light, no matter how difficult the road may be. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are inviting Him to open doors that have been closed in your life. These doors can be new opportunities, healing, or guidance in moments of deadlock. God not only protects you from evil, but also leads you into a life that is new and full of meaning. Revelation 3:8 says, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." When you call on God, He will open doors that you cannot open on your own. He will arrange the people, opportunities, and situations needed to take you where He has destined you to be. These doors aren't always easy to see or understand right away. Sometimes they open through changes that you might not initially want. However, trust that everything God does has a higher purpose. Your plea will be answered in the best way for you, even if you don't realize it immediately. One of the most powerful signs of protection and deliverance from God is the ability to heal past wounds. Spiritual and emotional wounds can become a burden that prevents you from moving forward in life. But when you call on God, you will receive a healing that surpasses human understanding. Psalm 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." God doesn't just heal external wounds. He touches the very depths of your soul, where hidden pain has long resided. He brings a comfort and peace that no one else can. Let the plea, "Lord, save me," be the beginning of a journey of healing and restoration. God doesn't just want to rescue you from present evils. He also wants to free you from the shackles of the past, helping you live a full and free life in His grace. The miracle that the plea, "Lord, save me," brings is the ability to find joy, even in the midst of suffering. This joy is not a temporary feeling of satisfaction, but a deep rejoicing that comes from God, a joy that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. James 1 verses 2-4 teaches, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." When you call on God, you are placing your faith in Him, and that faith brings joy despite your circumstances. God helps you realize that even challenges have a purpose, and through those difficulties, He is working to transform you into the best version of yourself. In addition to protecting you, God teaches you how to fight evil with His power. The plea, "Lord, save me," is not just a request. It's a commitment to learn and apply divine principles to resist the forces of darkness. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us that, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." When you call on God, He equips you with the wisdom and strength to face spiritual challenges. He teaches you to use prayer, faith, and truth to deal with evil forces. He doesn't leave you to fight alone, but is always there, guiding you through every battle, with victory guaranteed by His power. The darkness of fear, anxiety, and sin sometimes covers life, dimming the light of hope and faith. But the plea, "Lord, save me," is a lamp that shines, dispelling the darkness and bringing divine light from God. Imagine a dark room. Just a small beam of light is enough to transform the whole space. Similarly, when you call on God, He lights up the truth and love in your life. The darkness of fear will have to retreat, giving way to courage and peace. Psalm 27 verse 1 affirms, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" This is a powerful reminder that God's light can dispel all darkness, whether great or small. When faced with challenges or dangers, remember that God is not just your protector, but also the source of light that guides you through all adversity. A special thing happens when you regularly plead, "Lord, save me." You will recognize God's presence not only in urgent situations, but also in the simplest moments. God doesn't just come to rescue you from danger, but also walks with you in every breath, every step of life. Take time to feel God's presence in the small things. The birds singing in the morning, the sunlight streaming through your window, or the peace you feel when you pray. These moments are reminders that God is always near, ready to protect and bless you. Matthew 28 verse 20 records Jesus' words, "And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." This promise isn't just for hard times. It's an affirmation that God is always present, no matter the circumstances. Make your plea a continual conversation with Him so that you always live in God's protection and guidance, even in the simplest moments. In life, there are times when you have to face difficult decisions, and a small mistake can lead to big consequences. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are not only looking for deliverance, but also desiring the wisdom to do what is right. James 1 verse 5 teaches, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." Your prayer is not just a cry for rescue. It's also an invitation for God to participate in every decision of your life. When you place your trust in God, He will open your mind and heart to recognize what is right and appropriate. He will also give you the peace to make those decisions, even if they seem difficult or unpopular. Remember that wisdom from God is not just knowledge, but also the ability to act with love and integrity. When you call on God, He will help you see the path He has set out for you and walk with confidence and divine protection. The plea, "Lord, save me," is not just a single act. It's also a way of life. When you maintain a constant prayer relationship with God, you are not only protected from evil, but also strengthen your faith and deepen your connection with Him. Ephesians 6 verse 18 says, "And pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests." With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Constant prayer is the armor that protects you from the enemy's schemes and helps you remain alert in your spiritual life. Make this plea the rhythm of your heart, a beat that echoes constantly with trust and love for God. Each time you utter this plea, you are creating an invisible circle of protection around your life, not just for yourself, but also for those you love. When you speak the 4 words, "Lord, save me," you are not just calling for protection. You are also completely entrusting your life to God. It's a prayer that expresses absolute trust in Him, while also accepting that the path He leads, though it may sometimes seem difficult, is always the best path. In Isaiah 41 verse 10, God says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This promise not only strengthens your faith, but also reminds you that whatever you face, God is ready to guide you. Challenges in life are not a sign of rejection, but opportunities for you to see God's power at work. When you entrust your worries and difficulties to prayer, God will make a way for you to overcome them, not with your own strength, but with strength that comes from Him. Remember that every mountain you climb, every storm you face, has God's presence in every step. Your plea is the compass that leads you back to Him. We live in a world full of negative influences, spiritual traps set by the enemy to pull us away from God. But remember that the plea, "Lord, save me," is not just protection. It's also a powerful weapon against the forces of darkness. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us that, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Your prayer, no matter how simple or small, can bring great power in spiritual battles. When you call on God, you are using His power to push back the devil. Jesus set an example for us in Matthew chapter 4, when He used Scripture to overcome temptations from Satan. You too should use your plea and faith to resist lies and traps. Prayer not only protects you, it also makes the devil afraid and flee. Do not hesitate to use the power that God has given you to stand strong and prevail. Every time you say, "Lord, save me," you are not only opening the door to protection, but also inviting God in to perform miracles in your life. Miracles are not just extraordinary things, but also small, yet meaningful changes in your daily life. Remember the story in Matthew 14:30-31, when Peter walked on the water toward Jesus, but began to sink because he was afraid. He cried out, "Lord, save me!" And immediately Jesus reached out His hand, pulled him up, and rescued him from doubt and danger. This plea is like a key you hold in your hand. It doesn't just unlock rescue. It also unlocks transformation, a broken heart healed, a damaged relationship restored, or a seemingly dark future made bright. Let your plea become a part of your life, and you will witness miracles happening every day. Not only will you be protected, but your loved ones around you will also be protected when you call on God. Your prayer has a ripple effect, bringing protection and grace to your family and community. Job 1:5 gives us an example of Job, who prayed and made offerings for his children, whether they sinned or not. His continual prayers were a shield of protection for his whole family. Believe that when you utter, "Lord, save me," not only you but also your loved ones are wrapped in the care and protection of God. Offer God everything you worry about, your family, friends, and community. Let your plea become a source of blessing, not just for you, but for all those you love. Life is unavoidable when times get difficult, but in those very moments, the plea, "Lord, save me," will strengthen your faith, helping you remain steadfast on your journey with God. Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Although your current circumstances may be painful or confusing, your prayer will be the bridge that leads you to the goodness that God has planned. Let this plea be a declaration that you trust in God's power and plan, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. This will not only strengthen your faith, but will also bear witness to others that God is trustworthy. When you speak the 4 simple words, "Lord, save me," you are not only asking for help, but also inviting the all-powerful presence of God. God not only listens, but He also comes personally to envelop you in His loving arms. In John 14, verse 18, Jesus said, "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." This is not just a promise, but a powerful affirmation of His presence in the times when you are the weakest. Imagine that each time you call on God, He comes to your side, bringing with Him the comfort, protection, and power of heaven. Those words don't just echo in the air. They go through the earthly veil to reach the very throne of God. In the presence of God, there is no place for fear or darkness. He is the light that shines into the darkest places of your soul, bringing peace and the assurance that you are never alone. You may think that your prayer is too simple to make a difference, but But remember that God doesn't look at the complexity of your words. He looks at your heart. Psalm 34 verse 17 says, "The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles." This is clear evidence that even the simplest prayers can stir the heavens. Think of a child calling out their parents' names when in danger. Their cry doesn't need flowery words, but it's powerful because it comes from absolute trust. Your prayer is the same. It doesn't need to be perfect, only sincere. For God is the one who understands your every thought and need. Believe that every plea you make is recorded by God, and He acts for your good, whether you realize it or not. When you call on God, you are building a bridge between the difficult reality and the world of miracles. Prayer is not just a spiritual act, but also a tool for opening the door to change. Remember the story of the woman with the bleeding issue in Mark 5 verses 25 to 34. With strong faith, she only needed to touch Jesus' cloak, and she was healed immediately. Although her plea wasn't spoken out loud, that action was a deep prayer. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are also touching His power. Those words carry the faith that nothing is impossible for God. Let your prayer be a bridge that brings you from the limitations of humanity to the infinity of God. You might have asked many times, why? Why hasn't God answered yet? But believe that God never forgets about you. His answer is always on time and in the right way. Habakkuk 2 verse 3 says, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time." It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. When you call on God, His answer sometimes doesn't come right away. But that doesn't mean He's silent. God is working behind the scenes, preparing the best for you. Every moment you wait is part of the great plan He has for you. Be patient, because the best things always come to those who place their faith in God. Even when you feel abandoned, remember that God still holds your hand, leading you through every circumstance. On your life's journey, you might get caught up in work, family, and other concerns. But the plea, "Lord, save me," helps you pause to return to God, to reflect on the true meaning of faith. Remember the story of Jonah in Jonah chapter 2 when he was in the belly of the fish. He called out to God in fear and desperation. But it was that prayer that led him to repentance and to understand God's mercy better. Your plea is not only to receive rescue, but also to discover God's living presence in every aspect of your life. It helps you see that every challenge is an opportunity to grow closer to Him so that your faith may become deeper and stronger. When you say 4 simple words, "Lord, save me," you are not just asking, but also declaring a strong belief in the boundless power of God. These words affirm the one you trust in, who can resolve every difficulty, remove every obstacle, and protect you from every danger. This prayer is not only requesting rescue, but also a declaration of trust in the absolute power of God. As in Matthew 28 verse 18, Jesus said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." When you pray, you are not just hoping, you are professing that God is the Almighty, who has the authority to control the universe and every event that happens in this world. Your prayer is an affirmation of the majesty and authority of God in your life. Remember that God's power is not limited by time, space, or any circumstance. Even if you are in the most difficult situation, your plea still has the power to reach and touch the very throne of God. Your prayer is a profession, an affirmation of His greatness and majesty. Life can sometimes make you feel as though everything is collapsing, as though you are sinking in an endless sea of suffering. However, every time you call on God, you invite comfort and restoration that comes from Him. God is always ready to answer your prayer, not only with protection, but also with comfort, helping you find peace in every circumstance. In Psalm 34 verse 18, the Bible says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." God not only listens to your prayer, He also draws near to you in moments of sadness and desperation. Every time you call out is an opportunity for Him to give you comfort and restore your soul. Prayer is where you find peace in your heart because it's a direct connection with God. You will feel His boundless love, soothing the wounds of your heart, healing the damage life has caused. Let your prayer be a source of unending comfort, guiding you through the storms of your soul and bringing you back to the peace God has for you. Every time you say, "Lord, save me," you are opening a door for deliverance to come to you. God not only protects you from all evil, but also brings deliverance in every aspect of your life. Deliverance isn't just rescue from physical suffering, but also freedom of the soul from pain, fear, and confusion. In Ephesians 2, verse 8, the Bible says, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God." Your prayer isn't just asking for grace. It's also an opportunity for you to open your heart to receive God's grace. God has given you the priceless gift of salvation, and prayer is the way to open your heart to receive this. Every time you call out, you are receiving the salvation that God has prepared for you. You don't need to do much. Only place your faith in God and open your heart to receive His protection and love. God accomplished the work of salvation through Jesus Christ, and every prayer you make is an affirmation of accepting this salvation. When you plead, "Lord, save me," you are not just seeking protection. You are also inviting help to conquer the enemies of your soul. Those enemies are not just physical threats, but also temptations, negative thoughts, and attacks from the devil. Your prayer is a powerful weapon to defeat all the forces of evil. In Ephesians 6 verses 11 to 12, the Bible says, "Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." When you pray, you are not just calling for protection, but also for God's strength to defeat the evil forces that are trying to attack you. Prayer is the shield that enables you to stand strong in spiritual battles, helping you keep your faith and hope. Remember that no enemy can conquer you when you have God on your side. Every prayer is an affirmation that you don't have to face these challenges alone. God will always be with you, equipping you with everything you need to win. When you say, "Lord, save me," you're not just asking for protection from evil, but are also embarking on a journey of discovering God's boundless care. During times when you feel weak and lonely, this prayer will open up the links that connect you to His infinite love, helping you realize that you are always protected in every situation. God is the protector of your every moment. Whether you face temptations or challenges, His protection is always the safest refuge. Believe that God will never let you fall into the hands of the enemy without His intervention. Prayer is the way to recognize this protection so that you can live in the absolute safety God has prepared for you. When you call out to God, "Lord, save me," it is a powerful action not only of faith, but also of expectation in the miracles that God can perform in your life. Each prayer is a window to the spiritual world where you can access the boundless power of God. You not only expect protection from evil, but also hope for the miracles that He can give you. Miracles cannot be explained with logic, but can only be understood with a heart full of faith in God. Sometimes miracles come in forms that you cannot imagine in advance: a surprise encounter, a wondrous change in circumstances, or simply a change in your own heart and mind. These miracles are not always major events, but are sometimes simple things: comfort to the soul, small yet powerful changes in your daily life. When you say, "Lord, save me," it's not just a plea in desperation, but a declaration of belief that miracles can happen. You're inviting God's intervention into your life, and He will come, not only to protect, but also to bring miracles in His boundless care. The door to miracles opens when you place your complete faith in God's goodness and power. Every time you say, "Lord, save me," you are performing an act of service in your relationship with God. You are acknowledging your dependence on Him and the need to be led and protected by Him. This isn't a sign of weakness, but is the expression of humility and clear awareness of human limitations. When you pray, you're not only looking for protection, but are also serving God by opening your heart and seeking His guidance. This prayer demonstrates the freedom you give to God in your life. You no longer control everything on your own, but you are seeking guidance and protection from the most powerful one. This is a sincere act of service because when you pray, you are not just receiving protection, but are inviting God to guide your life according to His will. You are not just a receiver of grace, but also a servant in absolute trust in God's infinite wisdom and love. This life is full of temptations, and wrong choices can lead you down paths of suffering. However, your prayer will be a strong protective shield, helping you avoid those temptations. Every time you call out to God, "Lord, save me," you are asking Him to help you keep your faith strong and your heart free from temptations toward evil. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges in life, but prayer is a source of strength that will help you overcome them. You will realize that temptations can't shake your faith because you have God's protection. He will help you see the truth and make right decisions in every situation, not letting you fall into the trap of wrong choices. This prayer is also a reminder that in moments of weakness and confusion, you are never alone. God will always be by your side, helping you keep your faith and virtue strong. He is the one who protects you from temptation not only in action, but also in your mind, helping you maintain your purity and the right direction in life. One of the places where you need protection the most is in your inner struggles. Anxiety, fear, feelings of guilt, and insecurity can invade your soul and make you feel like you can't go on. The prayer, "Lord, save me," is an invitation for God to enter these struggles, bringing peace and liberation. Sometimes you are not only struggling with external challenges, but also with yourself. Struggles about choices, faith, the future, and life's worries can make you feel tired. At this time, prayer is the way to entrust these burdens to God. You don't have to face these struggles alone, because God is the one who clearly understands every pain in your heart, and He is ready to help you overcome them. The prayer, "Lord, save me," is also a powerful action that helps you realize that you don't have to fight these struggles with your own strength. You have God by your side, and He will guide you through every step, bringing peace and liberation from these inner battles. Prayer not only helps you find protection, but also is a source of motivation that helps you become resilient in life. When you pray, you are not only looking for help during hard times, but are also receiving the strength to face all challenges. Difficulties, trials, and adversities can't make you fall when you have prayer as a source of strength, a motivation to help you become more resilient. Prayer is an opportunity for you to connect with the comfort and boundless strength that comes from God. You will feel a resilience in your heart, a strength that does not come from yourself but from God, who will help you stand firm before all storms of life. Let prayer become a part of you, an indispensable part that helps you overcome all challenges with unwavering faith in the guidance of God. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are not just requesting protection or help. You are also beginning a journey of purifying your soul. Prayer is not just a request. It's also a process of self-examination and seeking purity from God. It's in those moments when you speak to God that you enter a holy space where all your weaknesses are revealed. But it's also where He can work to renew you from the inside out. Prayer, especially prayers that come from humility, can cleanse your soul from worries, fears, and sins. Prayer helps you realize that salvation comes not just from physical protection, but also from purification of the spirit, helping you become more like Christ and closer to His will. Each prayer is a step towards self-improvement, a process of deep transformation in your heart. Through it, prayer not only helps you overcome challenges, but it also helps you grow in faith, understanding of God, and the ability to love and forgive. The more you pray, the stronger you become in His love and mercy, and so you can face the world around you with greater stability and confidence, knowing that nothing can penetrate your life when you have the protection of God. This life is not only filled with light, but also with darkness. Not only with peace, but also with challenges. Prayer becomes a powerful weapon in your hand to face the darkness, the invasion of the forces of evil, and the dark situations in life. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are affirming God's presence in your life, and nothing can harm you when He is protecting you. This prayer is not an act of weakness, but a declaration of God's boundless power. When you pray, you remind yourself and the world that you are not alone, that you have God with you. He is a very powerful protection against all darkness. Challenges and suffering cannot overcome you because, in every prayer, you are using the power of God as a firm shield. Prayer not only helps you push back evil, but also creates a strong wall around you, so that all the forces of evil cannot penetrate your life. This is a divine protection not only for a moment, but for the duration of your life. This is the strength that overcomes every adversity and is an affirmation that God's light will always overcome the darkness. The prayer, "Lord, save me," is not just a request. It's a declaration of God's ownership over your life. When you pray, you are acknowledging that your life does not completely belong to you, but belongs to Him. You are inviting God into every corner of your life so that He can protect, guide, and control it. This is not just a surrender, but an affirmation that you trust in God's infinite ability to care for you and protect you from all evil. When you pray, you are declaring that you are not afraid, because you know you are under the protection of the Almighty. This is a protection that nothing can violate, because God Himself is the master of all things. God doesn't just protect you from external difficulties, but also protects your soul from the attacks of anxiety, guilt, and disappointment. This prayer also helps you recognize that every event in your life is by God's arrangement. He doesn't just protect you in emergency situations, but also walks with you in every moment, even the smallest. When you pray, you believe that every decision, every choice in life is under God's guidance. Every time you say, "Lord, save me," you are not only asking for salvation in moments of danger, but you are also seeking awareness of God's protection in every situation. Prayer opens your eyes to realize that even though you may not see God immediately, He is always present and protecting you throughout your life's journey. Prayer helps you see God's presence in every circumstance, even when you feel alone or are facing a major challenge. Even in times when it seems God is absent, you will realize that He has always been there, helping you overcome every step and protecting you from dangers you cannot perceive. Prayer helps you maintain a connection with God, helping you realize that you are never abandoned. Every moment of prayer is an invitation for you to seek, recognize, and feel the protection of God in everything you experience. When you trust in His presence, you will see that nothing is hopeless. No challenge is too great when you have God's protection. When you say, "Lord, save me," you are inviting change, not only in your personal life, but also in the spiritual world around you. Each prayer not only affects you, but also extends to everything you interact with: your family, friends, work, and even your community. Prayer has the power to affect things you cannot see, but have a far-reaching influence. When you ask for God's protection, you are asking not only for peace in your soul, but also for protection from all the evil forces working around you. Prayer is a connection between you and God, but it is also a bridge between the spiritual and material worlds. Every time you pray, a divine energy is released that not only protects you, but also creates change in your living environment. When you open your heart and invite God into your life, you allow Him to change not only the situations you are facing, but also the way you see and react to them. God's protection will open new opportunities, helping you recognize paths you may not have seen before. Prayer is not an invisible action. It brings about real changes in your life. It changes you from within, helping you become stronger, more confident, and able to stand firm before the challenges of life. When you pray, you are not just calling for protection. You are engaging in a process of spiritual refinement, a profound change in how you perceive and face the world. Prayer is not just a request for protection from evil. It is a path that leads you to a deep peace in your soul. Every time you say, "Lord, save me," you are inviting God into your soul so that he can give you peace, a peace that transcends all understanding and situations. This peace does not come from the outside world, not from events happening in life, but from God's presence within you. Prayer helps you release the worries, fears, and stress that are taking over your heart. When you pray, you are opening your heart to receive the peace God provides, helping you overcome every challenge, whether in relationships, work, or personal difficulties. Prayer is a powerful way to set aside the worries of life and find relaxation in the presence of God. The peace that God grants is not the absence of trials, but the ability to maintain a steady and calm state of mind, no matter how chaotic the world around you may be. It's the confidence that even when you're facing a storm, God is with you, and you're never alone. This peace helps you see challenges not as something to fear, but as opportunities to grow in faith and reliance on God. When you ask God to protect you from all evil, you're not just asking him to protect you from obvious dangers, but also from the unseen traps in life. Sometimes we can't identify all the dangers lurking around us, the battles within our souls, the influences from our surroundings, and the negativity that can seep into our lives without us realizing. However, this prayer is a way for you to entrust your worries to God and believe in his protection. God's protection isn't just about preventing physical harm. It's also about safeguarding your mind from negative influences. There are evils that we can't see with our eyes but deeply affect our souls, like negative thoughts, feelings of doubt, and things that lead us away from faith. Prayer helps you protect yourself from these influences, helping you maintain a pure heart and a peaceful soul, untouched by the outside world. God not only protects you in dangerous situations, but also helps you face all of life's challenges with courage and unwavering faith. When you ask him to protect you from all evil, you're not only seeking salvation, but also daily sustenance. Prayer becomes an act of renewing your strength and faith, helping you overcome all the temptations and trials that life may present. When you say, "Lord, save me," you're not just asking for protection. You're also affirming your faith in God's limitless power. You're acknowledging that he is the only one who can save you from all circumstances and that nothing is too difficult for him. Prayer is the recognition that your strength has limitations, but God's strength is boundless. You can't fight all of life's challenges alone, but with God's protection, you can overcome everything. When you pray, you're placing your faith not just in what you can see and understand, but also in what you can't see, the spiritual realm. God will work miraculously in your life, helping you overcome difficulties you can't even imagine. Prayer is an expression of faith that God is working, even when you can't clearly see what he's doing. But through each prayer, you'll realize that he's always there, protecting and guiding you every step of the way. When life becomes difficult and challenging, we can easily feel lost and overwhelmed by the storms. However, in those moments, when you pray and call upon God's protection, you're finding your way back to a firm refuge where nothing can shake you. God's protection is a steadfast fortress that never crumbles, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Imagine you're standing in the midst of a huge storm, strong winds, heavy rain, and thunder. Everything seems insurmountable, and you might feel like you can't take any more. But when you call upon God, you realize that he's the only refuge that can protect you from the storm's destruction. God not only protects you from external dangers, but also protects your soul from fear, anxiety, and the attacks from negative forces. In moments like these, when you ask for God's protection, you're inviting him to keep your soul at peace, giving you the strength to overcome every trial. This protection isn't just about stopping the storms, but it's also about a deep peace within you that enables you to stand firm against all of life's trials. God is the refuge for your soul, a protection not just from the outside, but also from within, helping you maintain your clarity and faith in the better things to come. When we ask God to protect us from all evil, we're also recognizing that His protection goes beyond the limits that humans can provide. We, as limited beings, can't control every situation in life. The world around us is always full of challenges and dangers, and we often can't foresee what might happen. But God, with His omnipotence and boundless love, can always shield us from the unpredictable. This is especially clear in situations where we feel helpless, where all our efforts don't seem enough to overcome. We may face temptations that we can't overcome on our own, or trials that we can't understand why they've happened. However, when you pray and invite God's protection, you realize that He's the only one who can protect you through all that the world can't resolve. God doesn't just protect you in clear-cut situations, but also in places that you can't see or understand. He can see the dangers that you can't recognize, and He can work miraculously to protect you without you even knowing it. You may not see what God is doing, but with each prayer, you'll realize that He's shielding you from things you can't even imagine. When you face a trial, you might feel like you can't go on, as if you don't have the strength to stand. But even in those moments, God's protection isn't just about preventing evil. It's also about the strength that He gives you to face the trial. When you say, "Lord, save me," you're not only asking Him to protect you from external dangers, but you're also asking God to give you the strength to overcome your inner struggles and suffering. God understands the suffering you're going through, and He'll never let you suffer alone. Each trial you face is an opportunity to experience God's nearness and unconditional love. With each prayer, you not only receive protection, but also the tools to stand firm, stronger, and more resilient. You'll realize that the strength you have to overcome trials doesn't come from your own power, but from God standing always beside you, supporting you, and giving you an endless source of strength. God's protection isn't just about stopping the difficulties, but it's also about the ability you have to face and overcome them with unwavering faith and His guidance. The strength that you have isn't human strength, but the strength of faith, a deep connection with God. You'll find yourself more mature, more steadfast, and when you look back, you'll realize that every trial has brought you closer to Him, helping you become a stronger person in faith and love. Prayer isn't just a request for protection. It's a tool that helps you open the door to that protection. Every time you pray, you're entering into a deeper relationship with God. Prayer is the key that helps you open the door to receive His protection in every aspect of your life. When you ask, you're not just asking for help, but entrusting all your worries, fears, and burdens to God. With each prayer, you're creating a space for God to work in your life. He never rejects a sincere request, and through each prayer, you'll feel the peace, protection, and boundless love of God. You'll realize that His protection isn't just intervention in external events. It's also peace in your heart that helps you stand firm in all circumstances. Prayer is a sacred connection, an action that expresses faith and reliance on God's power. When you pray, you're not just asking for protection. You're participating in a living relationship with Him. Even though we can't see God with our eyes, His protection is always present in every moment of our lives. When you look back at the difficult moments in the past, you may realize that although you felt alone and abandoned at the time, in reality, God's presence was always near you. He protected you in ways you couldn't have imagined at that time. You may have overcome challenges that seemed impossible or been protected from dangers you weren't even aware of. God's protection is an invisible shield that isn't always easy to see, but when you look back, you'll see His fingerprints everywhere. He protects you not only when you're in direct danger, but also when you face temptations and spiritual challenges. Sometimes, God's protection is shown through Him, helping you recognize what you shouldn't do, helping you avoid paths that lead to suffering. It's through events like this that you understand that He's always looking out for you, whether you realize it or not. It's important that you open your heart and recognize God's protection in your daily life, not just in the big situations, but also in the small details. Each day of your life is proof of God's care and love. God protects you not just in sudden or urgent situations, but but in every step you take, every decision you make, and every relationship you have in life. When you trust in God's protection, you're not just believing that He'll protect you from all evil, but you're also believing that His love for you is unconditional. God's protection isn't based on what you do or the conditions you set, but it's protection that comes from His boundless love. He protects you not because you deserve it, but because He loves you, because you're His child. This unconditional love is clear in God always being by your side, even when you feel like you don't deserve it. In moments when you're weak, confused, or have sinned, God's protection never leaves you. He doesn't abandon you when you need Him most, and His love will always shield you, no matter what you've done or where you are in life. This protection isn't something you have to deserve, but is an invaluable gift from a merciful and loving God. God's protection, therefore, becomes a great source of encouragement and comfort in your life. When you feel like you've been left alone in this world, when you feel like everything is against you, remember that God's love will never change. He loves you as you are, and in that love, you're protected from all evil. There are times in life when you can't do anything to protect yourself. You face situations where you feel completely helpless, unable to do anything to change them. But in these moments, God's protection is a great source of hope. He is omnipotent, and when you can't protect yourself, He'll provide that protection. Nothing can replace those moments when you're being attacked by your own weakness, when worry and fear take over your mind, or when you have to face external circumstances that you can't control. God is the one who will protect you. He can stop the dark forces that want to invade your life, not only with His power, but also with His boundless love and care. When you can't stand on your own, when you can't protect yourself from the attacks of life, God will be your safe refuge. He won't let you be defeated without His help. He'll stand between you and all evil, helping you get through each day with new faith and strength. God's protection isn't just help when you're in danger. It's a care and guidance in every step of your life. The protection that God provides you isn't only protection from dangerous events. It's a comprehensive protection. God protects you from attacks of evil both from the outside and the inside. He protects you from physical dangers and spiritual temptations. Each decision, each step, each thought of yours is cared for and protected by God. You might face difficulties at work, in relationships, with your family, or in financial matters and may feel as if you're facing it all alone. But in moments like that, remember that God's protection is comprehensive. He not only protects you from external dangers, but also protects your soul from negative thoughts, feelings of despair, and fear. With God's protection, you'll never have to face a trial alone. He'll be by your side, watching each step you take, and will be ready to shield and protect you from any evil that may happen. God's comprehensive protection doesn't only help you avoid danger. It also helps you maintain peace within your soul, helping you keep your faith and hope in all circumstances. It's important to understand that God's protection isn't always clear in the way we expect. Sometimes, His protection may appear silently and without fanfare. He doesn't always intervene obviously in the dangerous situations we encounter. However, in those moments, God's protection can happen in very subtle ways that you don't easily recognize immediately. God might prevent you from a major accident without you even knowing it, protecting you from dangers you don't see. When you're driving on a deserted road, a small change in direction or a sudden decision could help you avoid a serious accident. When you feel a sense of unease and decide to change your plans, that could be God protecting you from something you can't understand right away. Moments like these prove that God's protection isn't always visible with our eyes, but is always present in our lives. It's also possible that you may never know about this protection because God may have prevented dangers before they even came your way. However, faith and His protection are the strength that help you stand firm and be at peace as you overcome the trials of life, knowing that you never have to face them alone. God's protection can also come through the people He brings into your life. Sometimes He'll send people around you to help you, to bring you comfort, advice, or to take specific actions to protect you from harm. It could be a friend who comforts you in despair, a colleague who helps you when you're having trouble at work, or a relative who gives you heartfelt advice when you need to make important decisions. These people are the tools that God uses to protect you, to help you overcome the trials of life. God can protect you through simple actions that give you great strength. A word, a look, or even a smile in a moment when you feel helpless can be the precious gifts that He sends you. These people, even though they don't realize it, are God's protection in your life. He can use a stranger to help you at just the right time, when you need it, even though you may not expect it. In difficult situations, God's protection can come through actions from the people around you. Always be open to receiving this protection, because through these people, God is sending you His love and care. One of the wonderful aspects of God's protection is that it goes beyond all human understanding, predictions, and ability. We can plan out our lives, prepare for all situations, but we can never foresee everything that will happen. We can do everything we can, but true protection comes only from God. He's the one who goes beyond what we can see and understand. When we face situations that our reason and ability can't resolve, God will intervene and work miracles. God's protection doesn't depend on our abilities or how we deal with the problems. God doesn't just protect you when you're doing right or when you have the perfect plan. His protection comes from His endless wisdom. It's a miraculous intervention from an omnipotent being that we can't fully understand. When we feel helpless, when we no longer have hope in ourselves, God's protection will come at the right moment, bringing the salvation that only He can bring. Through God's protection, you'll be guided through trials that reason cannot resolve. You'll find yourself protected even when you can't protect yourself. And the most wonderful thing is that you'll know that this protection comes from no one but God, who has loved you since before you were born. An important thing to remember is that God is a firm and unchangeable protector. Relationships and refuges in the world can change, can fail, but God's protection is always steadfast, never changing. When the world around you may be chaotic, when you feel uneasy and don't know who to trust, always remember that God is the one you can rely on and find absolute protection in. No matter what difficulties you're facing in life, no matter if you feel like the world is against you, God's protection is always there for you. He won't abandon you, so always trust in Him, because His protection has no limits. He is a safe refuge where you can find peace in the midst of chaos. Turn to God, and you'll never have to face life's trials alone. God will protect you from all evil, and in that protection, you'll find strength, peace, and unwavering hope. One thing to note is that God's protection isn't limited to physical dangers, accidents, or events outside our control. God also protects you from invisible threats. The negativity that can affect your soul and mind, those unseen attacks, negative thoughts, uncontrolled anxiety, all of those can weaken your faith and trust. In those moments when you feel pressured, stressed, or overwhelmed by negative emotions, God's protection is a gentle and profound intervention in your soul. He not only protects you from specific events, but also helps you stand firm in your soul when facing the storms of life. God gives you the strength to face doubt, insecurity, and spiritual challenges. During times when you feel attacked by negative thoughts or drawn into spirals of anxiety, the invisible protection from God will keep your mind from being pulled in by those things. You'll realize that when you pray, when you seek closeness with God, He gives you peace in your soul, helping you overcome those inner storms. This protection can also come through Him teaching you how to think more positively, to be more resilient and stronger in life. When you learn how to put your faith in God, you'll realize that external threats can no longer scare you, because the protection He gives you is invaluable and steadfast. When you realize and feel God's protection, you'll see that He not only protects you from evil, but also brings a profound transformation in your life. This protection isn't something static, but is a powerful intervention, guiding you into a new life that's stronger and full of hope. God protects you not just to keep you safe in difficult moments, but also to lead you into a new journey, where you can explore better aspects of yourself. Through the trials and difficulties you overcome with His protection, you'll realize that you're being refined and made more mature. You'll find yourself stronger, more confident in your abilities, and most importantly, you'll realize God's loving presence in every moment. God's protection isn't an invisible buffer that keeps you away from all of life's difficulties, but it's a guidance that helps you overcome them in a strong and faithful way. When you look back, you'll see that the most difficult moments were also when you felt closest to God, and that was the most powerful protection He gave you. An important part of the protection that God gives you is the ability to make you a stronger person in faith and in life. When you face difficulties and feel weak, when you can't overcome the trials on your own, it's God's protection that will give you strength. You'll realize that each time you go through a trial, you become more resilient because you don't go through it alone. God is always with you, helping you stand firm even when everything around you seems unstable. This protection isn't only a simple shielding, but also an internal building up of your faith and strength. You learn how to stand firm in the storms, not because you don't feel fear, but because you know that God is always by your side, guiding you through every challenge. You become more resilient and don't let difficulties knock you down, because you know that God's protection is endless and that He will never leave you. God won't let you face trials that you can't overcome. Each trial that you overcome will be a lesson, an experience that makes you stronger. And through that journey, you'll find that God's protection has formed you into a stronger, more mature person closer to Him. One of the important things that God's protection brings is the ability to help you overcome fear. When you face frightening situations, trials that seem impossible to overcome, God's protection will be the source of strength that helps you not be overcome. You'll realize that fear can no longer control you because you know that God is always there, protecting you from all evil. When fear begins to rise up in your heart, remember that you're not alone. God's protection isn't just an intervention from the outside, but also a comfort, the peace that He gives to your soul. You'll see that when you put your faith in God, fear can no longer overwhelm you. God will help you overcome all your fears, helping you face your trials with unwavering faith and strength. Confronting life's difficulties, God's protection is the key to overcoming your fears, helping you not be knocked down by the challenges that life brings. When you live in faith and under His protection, you'll find yourself stronger, more confident, and never feel helpless. God not only protects you in urgent situations, but also guides you through every choice in your life. God's protection is present in the daily decisions that you have to face, from big problems to the small details. When you face difficult choices, when you don't know what to do or where to go, God's protection will guide you through every step. He not only protects you from obvious dangers, but also from the mistakes and choices that can lead you astray from the path He has prepared for you. Sometimes in life, you might not know the right direction, but when you pray and trust in God's guidance, He'll open up paths for you, helping you go in the right direction. God will bring you to the people you need to meet, open up opportunities that you can't expect, and close the doors that aren't right for you. All of this is part of God's wonderful plan. In every decision, whether small or big, God's protection is always there like a light, helping you not get lost in the darkness. When you put your faith in God and seek His guidance, you'll realize that your life becomes more meaningful and peaceful because you know that you're walking on the path that God has shown to you. God not only protects you in isolated situations, but He also protects you through the relationships you have in your life. The people around you, from family and friends to colleagues, or even people you don't expect, are the means that God uses to protect you. This protection isn't just help in difficult moments. It's also support, encouragement, and the love that you receive from these relationships. God will use these people for you to feel unconditional love, for you to see that you never have to face trials alone. These relationships are gifts that God gives you to overcome the difficulties in life. You might receive help from unexpected people, advice from those you've never considered, but it's God's protection that will make you realize that everyone you meet has a purpose in your life. and you all play a part in the protection that God gives you. He'll bring these people to you at the important moments, helping you solve problems, overcome trials, and even avoid dangers that you can't see. These relationships are living proof of God's care and protection for you. God's protection comes not only from external conditions, but also from the deep peace within your soul. When the world around you can be a chaotic place, full of trials and difficulties, it's God's protection that brings you a peace that the world cannot understand. This is a peace that goes beyond all worries, a peace that lets you calmly stand firm against any storm. When you know that God is always protecting you, you'll feel comfort in the most difficult times. He gives you a feeling of tranquility that no circumstance can touch. Even when the storms of life come, you'll still feel a sense of steadiness within because you know that God is protecting you, keeping you from all evil. This peace isn't the absence of trials, but it's God's presence in those trials. When you trust in His protection, you'll feel lifted up no matter what happens. God gives you the strength to overcome all fear, worry, and pain. You'll find that in every prayer, in every moment of seeking closeness with Him, you feel your heart becoming peaceful, free from the worries of the world. Everyday life can be a series of events that seem ordinary, but if you pay attention, you'll realize that in every moment of the day, God is protecting you. Every step you take, every decision you make, every encounter you experience, it's all part of His miraculous protection. God's protection isn't just in the big events. It's also in the small things that you often don't pay attention to. This protection is present in every breath you take, every ray of sunlight during the day, every rain shower. In each moment you feel peace. When you wake up each morning, that is a sign of the protection and grace that God has given you. When you go through a day without unexpected troubles, that is God's protection, even though you might not realize it. And when you return home safely after a long day, it's a testament to the protection that God has placed around you all day long. God's protection in your everyday life will make you realize that He's always with you in every step and in every moment of your life. When you begin to notice God's presence in the simplest things, you'll feel the great protection that He has for you, protecting you from all evil and guiding you through each day with boundless love. No one can avoid the trials of life. Each of us has to face difficulties, suffering, and times when we feel like everything is falling apart. However, God's protection isn't only present in moments of peace, but also in moments of suffering and trial. When you face difficulty, you might feel alone and not know what to do. But in those very moments, God will always be by your side. He doesn't promise to remove all the trials from your life, but He promises that He'll always be near, giving you the strength to overcome them. God's protection isn't about removing all difficulties, but it's about protecting you in those very difficulties. He'll give you calm in times of worry, patience when you can't see the results, and the strength to keep walking even when the path becomes dark. When you feel like you can't go on anymore, it's God's protection that will lift you up, helping you stand up and keep fighting. Each trial, whether big or small, is an opportunity for you to feel more clearly His presence and love in your life. Never forget that God suffered all the great trials of His life, and He knows what you're feeling. He understands the pain you have to suffer, and in that suffering, He will be the one to protect you from despair. His protection in times of trial isn't liberation from suffering, but protection from giving up, from losing faith and hope. God will be an endless source of strength, helping you overcome these trials. Life is often filled with surprises. There are events that no one can foresee. Things happen that we can't control. But in all of these surprises, God has a great plan for you. He'll protect you from misfortune and guide you through the difficult situations that you couldn't have expected. When you encounter sudden events, unexpected accidents, incidents, or changes in your life, that's when you feel the divine protection of God. God not only protects you from the evil that you know, but also protects you from the dangers that you can't predict. God will guide you in how to face those challenges, giving you profound wisdom on how to respond and the sound decisions to protect yourself and your loved ones. God's protection is when He helps you recognize the signs around you, helps you see the opportunities in every difficulty, and helps you find peace in every unexpected event. Even in the most unexpected situations, when you feel like you don't know what to do, it's your trust in God and His protection that will give you the strength to keep going. God will never let you have to face trials that He can't help you overcome. Your life is not only made up of the decisions in the present, but also the choices in the future. When you stand at a crossroads in life, important decisions that can affect your whole life, God's protection will continue to walk alongside you. God won't only help you in the small daily decisions, but He will also help you see the right path when facing major choices. When you pray and seek God's guidance, He'll guide you towards the wisest decisions. God will give you the wisdom not to be fooled by temptation, help you recognize the best opportunities, and avoid the dangers. God's protection through your future decisions is when He protects you from mistakes that can cause long-term consequences. He'll teach you how to use His wisdom to make the right choices, even when you can't see the whole picture. God will protect you from wrong decisions, guiding you towards a bright future, a life according to His will. Sometimes, when you face uncertainty and fear about the future, it's God's protection that will steady you. He'll help you understand that even though you can't control everything, you can completely trust in Him, and that He will always be with you in every major decision. One of the most powerful ways that God protects you is through the loving care that He has for you. He's not just a supreme and powerful being, but also a being that is full of love. When you encounter difficulties, when you feel tired, or when you're going through times of suffering, God's care will let you feel an endless comfort. God cares for you like a father caring for his children, always worrying, protecting, and caring for all your needs. He understands all your worries and will provide you with everything you need to overcome the trials. God's protection isn't just about preventing you from evil, but also about thoughtful care, helping you live a full life that's full of love. God will not let you go without. He'll give you gifts not only in a material sense, but also in a spiritual sense, helping you stand firm and continue to live with faith and hope. When you feel weak, it's God's care that will give you more strength, helping you feel like you're never alone. You'll realize that in all that God does, He's always by your side, never abandoning you in difficult times. When life becomes difficult and we feel like we can't overcome the trials on our own, the simple yet powerful words, "Lord, save me," will be the most powerful prayer to call upon God's protection. This is not just a simple request, but a sincere cry from the depths of our hearts, an acknowledgement that we trust in God's infinite power and His infinite love. "Lord, save me" is a prayer that we can say in every situation, when faced with danger, when feeling tired, when worry and fear take over our minds, even in moments of despair. We need to remember that God is always ready to listen. These words are not just a request, but a firm belief in His protection. When you say, "Lord, save me," you're putting your whole faith in God's divine protection, believing that He will not leave you alone in difficult moments. God will protect you from all evil, from the external threats to the inner battles that you can't see. God's protection isn't just intervention in obvious times of danger, but also His presence in every moment of our lives. When you need strength to overcome difficulties, remember that when you pray, "Lord, save me," you're inviting God into your life. You're opening the doors of your soul to receive the guidance, protection, and unconditional love that He has for you. Each time you say these words, it's a time you're affirming the strong presence of God in your life, affirming that you're never alone and that He'll always protect you from all evil. So no matter how many trials or adversities life might bring, always remember the power of the prayer, "Lord, save me." This is a request full of faith and hope, a reminder that God's protection is always surrounding you, and that He'll always help you overcome all difficulties. When you trust in His protection, You'll feel a deep peace, comfort, and inseparable hope because God is the one who protects you from all evil. Amen.